Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. I'm super excited about today's video. We are going to take a marketplace piece of furniture that we purchased a few weeks ago and we're going to give it new life. There's no reason why you can't pick something up on Marketplace that might look like, okay, so there's some damage here and there, but it's a super good price. And if you come across those types of items, don't always just scroll by it if you want to upcycle something. Maybe the damage can be fixed. Maybe you can fix it. So that's exactly what we did. Super good price for this cabinet. There are a couple damaged areas that we're going to take care of, and I'm going to walk you through that and how we do it. So let me give you a close-up look at this baby. All right guys, there she is. All right, let me bring you in here. Okay. She's got great lines. I love it. I actually really love that these cabinet doors have glass in it, but I don't want the glass. I just love that they're actually cut out. And this is one of the issues that the seller on Marketplace, described and listed and said, there's a broken pane of glass. Okay, so that's one reason why she probably priced it so well. And then she let us know that the corner was a little bit maybe chewed up by an animal or a dog or was knocked against the wall and things like that. So those were the issues, right? So not too bad. That's something that my husband and I can definitely work with. Now, when I got the piece, when I saw it on Facebook, I knew it had these kind of like slate tile inserts. That's really not my style. They're very nice. They all came intact. This one I took out because I was trying to see if I could get them out easily and how it was going to be, because that's my ultimate goal. So not too bad to take them out, but they're all intact. You can still paint over these if you want to. You can leave them in there. Just make sure you're using the right types of paint. But my goal is to remove these. Once I remove them, so they pop right out. Once I remove them, it leaves this hole obviously in here, and I'm going to actually get rid of these vertical pieces as well. So what this is going to be is just a really large sunken piece here that I can then go back in with a 1x board and put it right in there, and then that's just going to become one large piece. So I'll show you the inside of these really quick because they're really nice. It's a nice piece, definitely is. I mean, even the brackets holding the glass. So if you did want this and you did want to keep glass in here, you could go buy glass, but I'm going to show you a less expensive option. So keep watching and I'll show you that in a little while. But 3 shelves on each side. 3 shelves on each side. So it has all the cabinetry hardware, everything like this. So I know I'm not going to be needing to replace that, so that's good. So, and I like that it stood off the ground. I like the legs, and I like that the bottom is flat. It's very clean, straight, flat lines. And I'll quickly show you around. Excuse the dust because it's been in the garage for just a few days. So it's pretty thin, which is nice because it's not going to take up, like, if you have like a thin hallway or something you want to put it in, it's not going to take up a bunch of space. And because it's wider, you get these 2 sides of the cabinet, which I think is awesome. This is actually a really good piece of furniture. All solid wood. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to carefully pop out the glass panels, and then I'll go through and pop all of these out. All the tiles here. I can try to actually hopefully save some of the tiles, because you never know. You can kind of like save that kind of stuff for future projects. I mean, you can even save the glass that's not broken. Or if you know how to cut glass, or you have somebody that cuts glass, cut off the broken piece and then save the glass for future use. So I do that often. Like, I'll get a piece of furniture I'm gonna flip, and then I know that there's pieces that I don't want, but I save them. I save all of them. I kind of like hoard everything because I never know. There's one time I throw something away. A month later, I'm gonna be like, oh, I should have kept that. This would have been so cool for a project. So, in my opinion, it's not bad to hoard that way. But that's just me. If you don't want it, toss it. Now, the paint we're going to use a DIY chalk paint. Yeah, I said it. It's a DIY chalk paint. And I'm going to show you exactly how I make it using just regular paint from the hardware store. Really easy. I'll give you my recipe, everything. We'll do that together, but that's going to be later. So we got a couple things to work on first. Let me say this before we get into it. With chalk paint, you don't have to sand your items. You shouldn't have to sand anything, and the chalk paint should go right over it. Even if it's slightly glossy like this, it'll go right over it. But I don't ever, it's very rare that I don't at least give a little bit of sanding to a piece, just because it gives me that just little teeny tiny bit of extra insurance, if you will. So I'm going to sand it. It's a little bit larger of a piece, so I'm going to go in with an orbital sander because one, orbital sanders rock. My husband and I have probably at least 4 different types of sanders, like expensive ones too. We went to the store and bought a $35 orbital sander, and the thing is the bomb. So they're super cheap. They don't make your arms super tired, so that's why I'm going to use it, because I know it's going to go a lot quicker than doing it by hand. You can do it by hand. There's no issue with that, because all you want to do is really just kind of scuff up the surface a little bit. You don't have to like take off the whole finish, because we're painting this. We're not going to stain it or anything like that. If we're going to stain it, you'd want to take off everything. But you don't have to if you're using paint, and you don't have to get really crazy with the sanding, because we're using chalk paint and that sticks really well. So I'll show you my sander. Here's my little sander. I love him, seriously. 35 bucks, guys. But we have one for now and it totally works and it's super fast. So I would recommend an orbital sander. Just don't get crazy with your sanding, because you don't have to. You don't have to, you really don't. It's gonna be super quick. I'm gonna get this all taken apart, removed, and I'll probably give it a good cleaning. I'm not sure if it was in the kitchen or anything like that, so I just want to make sure that oils are off and stuff, but if it's not too bad, I might just be able to sand and it's not really gonna do much. So let's get going. Because I'm removing all the hardware, here's a little bit of a pro tip. I'm not a pro. But little tip, these are the tools you're gonna need. Plastic bag, painter's tape, and a Sharpie, or a pen, doesn't matter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually number each one of my hardware pieces, so I know that's where it belongs. So usually I first start by looking at the piece saying, okay, how am I going to number this thing? So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then I'll actually number the insides of the doors. So this is going to be door number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. The best thing to do when you're taking apart furniture that has hardware on it, definitely mark it. Definitely mark it somehow, because you want the same piece of hardware to go back into its original place. It's just going to fit better, and then we're not going to get, take the chances of having putting the wrong piece on the wrong area, and then the doors can kind of shift and all that crazy stuff, and sometimes screwing back into the original holes can be a little bit tougher. So that's my advice for today. So let's get unscrewing. Another tip, when you're unscrewing doors, I screw off the bottom ones and leave the very top one for last. That way I don't do the top and then do the bottom, and then the door is just going to go like this. So do those first. Okay, now we got our bag full of pots. We're gonna zip this baby up and put it in a safe place. So we don't lose anything. And it's all numbered. Yay! Eee, I feel like my hands are dirty. Now, we're gonna sand. This is like an 80 grit that I have on my orbital. I'm just gonna leave it and go with it, I don't care. Safety first, glasses, and I hear these masks are in style nowadays, so we're gonna rock one of those for a little bit. And I'm not about to get sawdust in my face and in my lungs and my nose. I already have sinus issues, I've had sinus surgery. I'm not about that. So, here we go. Don't hate me because I'm beautiful. Okay, that's probably all the sanding I'm gonna do on this piece. Now I'm going to probably just get some hot water and some soapy hot water and stuff like that and kind of wipe it off, get all the dust off there, and then inspect it a little more, see if I need to do any more work or any more cleaning, any more sanding, anything like that. So I'm gonna do that and then we'll be back to get started on the next step. All right guys, remember that corner I told you about that was messed up on the side? We went ahead and we fixed that, and we fixed it with this. It's called Plastic Wood by DAP. I love this wood filler. The difference between this wood filler and the one that comes in like the little bucket or a tube is that this one is almost like a caulk. It's more of a caulk, so you can really get into those you know, bigger cracks and crevices. And you can see here that we went ahead, we filled it in. Now our next step here is to go ahead and sand it. All right guys, now for the fun part, some science. Now we're going to make the homemade chalk paint, and this is what you're going to need. Plaster of Paris, you get this at any hardware store. Cold water, we're only going to use a couple tablespoons. Your latex paint, you want to use flat or matte. My husband's in the background and he should be giving some tutorials, not just me. If you agree with that, let me know below. Tell us that you want Chris to do some tutorials, not just Nicole. Then, some stir sticks, of course. A canister to keep your new paint in. I just picked this up at Home Depot for a couple bucks. Your measuring cups. So you're gonna need 1 tablespoon, 1/3 of a cup, and then a cup. And then of course, your recipe. I'm gonna show you how to do it, I'm gonna show you how I do it, and then I'm gonna link it below so you can do it yourself at home. Okay, let's get ready. First, we're going to mix the plaster and the water together. So we're going to measure out some plaster. We're going to do that, and that's 1/3 cup of plaster of Paris. Put a little cup in there. And then we're going to mix the plaster of Paris, or we're going to pick some water, and we want 3 tablespoons of water. 1, 2, 3. Where I got that from. I'm going to mix that together. And then we're going to do 1 cup of our paint. I have a 1/2 cup here, so you're going to see me do it twice. So it's just 1 cup total. There's a 1/2 cup. And another 1/2 cup. That makes 1 cup. Then when we finish with that, we're then gonna go ahead. We're gonna go ahead and mix these two together, or mix all three of these together, and just keep mixing. Get it thoroughly mixed together. Once you have it thoroughly mixed together, it's still gonna look just like regular paint. But believe me, you'll start to notice it once you start to paint with it. And if you leave the cap off of your paint too long, this is gonna dry really, really quickly. So, that's it. Now I'm gonna pour this into my little bucket because I know it's gonna take me a couple days to paint this cabinet that we're doing today. I'm gonna pour that in. I'm gonna save it for later. And that's it, guys. If you ever make this, let me know. Let me know what you think. Let me know how it turns out for you. Send me some pictures of your projects and stuff too. Gaining inspiration from others. I like it. So, that did probably about a quarter of this can. On to painting. Okay, we are done fixing up the corner. And the hubs was kind enough to then get a board, plane it down to where we need it to be, and put it where those tiles used to be. I went ahead, caulked or wood filled some of the areas, and now we're ready to paint. Okay, so now we got our chalk paint all made. I filled this baby, I did 3 batches. We have our paint brushes. We got a couple, well this is Blue Hawk, 2-inch flat brush. Not the most ideal when painting the furniture, you kind of want those angled brushes. He's got a 2-inch Purdy. And then, it's Purdy. Oh, you got the Purdy? Pretty good. And our furniture paintbrush. So, we're gonna get to painting this whole inside, and then we have to get on to paint the doors and the shelves that go in here. So, here we go.
Alright everybody, so as you can see we've done a lot of work in the past couple hours here. We painted the whole thing, gave it 2 coats. We did the doors, the shelves, everything is this gray color. And we used the chalk paint that we made, and it came out good. So just a couple tips with this chalk paint as well. When you're using it, use a good nylon brush. You can get the cheapo little project brushes at the store, but we always find that once you start using them, they tend to fall apart pretty quickly and you end up getting bristles in your paint, and if you don't notice it, then you end up with a bristle and some dried paint, and then it just messes up everything and makes your project look bad. Another thing with this chalk paint is you want to regularly clean your brushes. When you paint with this stuff, it does have that Plaster of Paris in it, so it's going to dry a little harder and a little faster on you. So if you coat everything with one coat of your paint and you need to let it dry, it's a good idea to wash your brushes out. So just a couple tips there, but we got everything painted, 2 coats on everything, and then we also went through and took some water-based poly and gave everything a coat with water-based poly inside and out. So it's just a good way to use as a protective layer, especially with cabinets, things like that, because people will be banging into it. You know, you hit it with your shoe or your knee when you're closing the doors, this and that. It's just a good layer of protection. You really only have to do one. And it's water-based, so it dries pretty quickly. So what we're going to do is now go on into the garage, and we're going to do something in the middle here, and it's going to be a little surprise, so I can't tell you exactly what it is yet, but I think you're going to like it. And so that's what we're going to do next, head out into the garage. So see you out there.
Hey guys, so now we're out here in the garage and we're going to give you our reveal of what we're going to put inside our doors to the cabinet. Here we go. Well, they could probably go in the cabinet when we're done, but not on the doors.
There's a shortage, so we should probably not use this anyway. Okay,
Yeah.
we'll find something different.
All right, here we go.
Drum roll, please.
Oh!
So we are going to be using this on the inside of our cabinet doors. This is wire mesh. Sometimes you'll hear it called metal hardware cloth, metal wire mesh.
You can use it on like
It's
chicken
not so-
runs.
It's like
and stuff
chicken
that.
wire, that kind of
Yeah.
stuff, but it's not as thick and the squares are smaller than like a chicken wire. But you can buy this at any of the hardware stores. This is the fine one, so it's very easy to cut. You don't need any heavy duty tools to cut it to size.
What did we use to cut it, baby?
What we used was these little nippers. Crafting nippers. Project
Jewelry.
nippers, any kind of small wire cutters will do. You don't, like I said, you don't need heavy duty ones.
Yeah, and these ones work really well because they're really small, so they kind of get into those
fine,
squares
get into the edges,
really,
yeah.
really well. So.
Yeah. So to finish off the project, what you're going to need is your nippers, kind of cut it to size, tape measure, so you can tape measure the inside and backing of your doors. Pliers, just in case you make a mistake on anything, you can pull out some staples, and then we're going to use, we have an air compressor staple gun, which we're going to use to put these in, but if you have just a regular old staple gun on hand, you can use that as well. So we measured it, cut it to size, we're going to put it in the back and then staple it in, and stick around for the final reveal when we're done. It's also a good idea when you're doing this to have gloves, or be very wary about the edges on here because this stuff is sharp and it can get you pretty good. So be cautious when you're cutting this. And if you have gloves, any kind of like cloth gloves, don't use rubber gloves because it'll just catch on it and tear your gloves. So safety first. Let's do this. Okay, so we have our metal pieces cut out to size now. And what we're going to do is, with these doors, there's a recessed edge on the inside there. So that's what we cut it to. So we cut it right to size, and we're going to fit it. Oh, look how perfect that is. So we're going to put it in here, and then hook up our gun, and just kind of staple every 2 to 3 inches. All the way down each side and on the ends, and that'll help keep it nice and tight in there. And the one thing you want to make sure you're doing when you do this is to make sure, go down one side first and then go down the other side, just to make sure it's nice and tight. And then that way when you go to the other side, you can just make sure this is all nice and tight and flat, because you don't want to have bends or cricks in it, or make it look crooked when you're done, after you're done stapling it. So that's what we're going to do now. We're going to staple this in, and you can see how we do it.
Okay, everybody, here it is. Here's the big reveal. It's all finished. And I love it so much that I convinced Chris to keep it for myself.
It happens. She's cute. So
Aww.
it's pretty easy to convince me.
Okay.
All right, ready?
Flip it around.
Flip it
babe.
around?
Yeah, let's do
Show
it.
everybody what it looks like. All right, here it is, everybody. Looks fantastic. I think we did a good job on this one, huh?
I love it. Love it so much.
So where would you put this? Like a hallway, a kitchen?
I mean, yeah.
or-
I mean, when I first had the idea for this cabinet, I wanted it to look like one of those really vintage, antique pie cooling cases. So that's why we put the metal, the hardware cloth on the doors. I think this piece could go anywhere. It could go in an entryway, or it could go in a dining room to hold some really cute white dishes.
Oh, that would look good.
Or it could also be like a coffee bar. So I hope we inspired you to go to Marketplace. Pick something up that might be inexpensive but has good bones and might have, just a couple things to fix.
This is pretty easy. A little bit of paint,
Yep.
a
little bit of elbow grease.
grease.
And you know what? It took us probably about two and a half days to finish this project. So I know
It's a good weekend thing.
It is a good weekend
Especially
project.
when you're quarantined. You're not allowed to go
Yeah.
anywhere.
Right. So maybe you have a piece at home that you want to flip or do something with. Feel free to send us a picture of a piece that you might have, and we could
Give you some
even,
ideas of
yeah,
what you can do.
Yeah,
If
we
you're-
could totally.
If you're stuck, you don't have any ideas. You have some good ideas. So
Yeah, send it to us, and
figure it out.
maybe we can give you some suggestions.
Facebook, Instagram. You can contact us.
Yep.
So send us some pictures. We want to see everything.
Yeah.
All right, everybody.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Bye.